Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on this lesson today. Today what we are going to look at is how we can try to learn how to play better time by practicing with a metronome. Now, I think that this is really important for anybody that's any type of a musician out there. It doesn't mean that it's only for drummers either. This is something that I think that all musicians have to get good at. I thought this would be a really good opportunity for me to show you all the different ways that I practice with a metronome so that you can use that in your own practice on whatever instrument it is that you play. Now, I will be showing a lot of examples on drums and bass today, but that doesn't mean that that can't be applied to other instruments as well. These concepts that I have picked up over the years and all of the studying that I've done and all the practicing that I've done are things that can be applied to any instrument. And I would strongly suggest that anybody out there that's watching this or wants to be a better musician or just have better time should apply these to their own instruments. First things first, you need a metronome of some type. When I was in college, way back in the day, we had an actual physical metronome that we would use. But now, with the advent of smartphones and just how common they are these days, I think that the best way to go is just to get a metronome app that you can install on your smartphone. They're really easy to use, they're really user-friendly, and a lot of times you can actually program them in different ways so that you can have a routine that you might want to go over and go about it that way. I'm not sure what it's called in the App Store, but I am a huge fan of it. This is what it looks like. It just looks like this tempo app right here. And this is a really fantastic app right here. I use it all the time. I program it for rehearsals and for practice sessions and different things like that. And so I'm going to use a lot of my examples with this and put it on the display here. What's really great about this app in particular is that there's a lot of different options that you have here for playing a certain specific time signatures. You can pick all kinds of different time signatures and it adjusts to what you need, even mixed meter time signatures. But for the purposes of what I'm going to introduce to you guys today, it's mostly just going to be stuff that we're going to do in 4/4 and permutations of 4/4. Now, of course, one of the most basic things that you want to be getting good at is playing with the metronome clicking on the quarter note. That is a very basic thing, and especially with recording these days and performing live, a lot of people program stuff, and so you have a click track in your earbuds or your in-ear monitors. And so with that situation, you have to get really good at playing with a quarter note. So that's the very basic, bare bones, first day thing you should be getting used to is playing along with the quarter note. 1, 2, ready. So here's an example on bass. Same thing, playing with the quarter note. Just another example of that. When we start experimenting with other different versions that we're going to be doing with the metronome, challenge yourself and just see if you can keep the tempo without playing your instrument. I'll show you some examples of that. One really great thing to do though is just put the quarter note click on the upbeats of the beat that you're playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there, that's a really good example of trying to just do it by singing something and going along with it as opposed to actually playing your instrument. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first step. Just see if you can get used to that. And then from there, what's really great about this app is if you just click on the dots that are representing each beat, it takes away the click sound even though it's still counting the beats for you. So now we have the click still at the same tempo of 90 beats per minute, but on the half notes. So on beat 1 and beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So along those same lines, having a half note click, right, on only beats 1 and 3, playing along on a melodic instrument. Here I go. Right? It's forcing me to really divide the time in between the clicks. Rather than it happening every single click, it forces me to mark the time in between. That was 1 and 3. Let's move it over to 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So that makes you really honest, and then you got to feel the beats of 2 and 4. So as you can see from the display, I just changed the metronome, so it's only going to be beat 1 of every measure while I'm still keeping the tempo on the drums. And so this is forcing me to fill up the rest of the time in the measure, and I only have the click happening 1 time on beat 1. So before I play, I just want to feel it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, a boom, boom, dun, boom, a boom, 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 a boom, 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 a boom, boom. This exercise is really great for practicing fills, especially if you have a tendency, like a lot of drummers do, to mess with the time when you're playing a fill. I feel like a struggle I've had, especially when I was younger, is that my time was usually okay if I was playing a really straightforward groove and I'm just playing the time. But as soon as I add in a drum fill, I speed up. And then I get to the next beat 1 before the track that I'm playing with or the people I'm playing with. This is a really great exercise for that sort of thing. And another thing that I really love about this app is that as it's going, because I turned off beats 2, 3, and 4, you can still see the line moving back and forth on the display. So if I lose the time, I can just look over and line myself back up before hearing the click. And then I just look away and force myself to look away and focus on the time I'm playing within my instrument. 1, 2, 3, 4. especially when you're playing a fill that is one measure long or multiple measures long. That is a really helpful exercise to make sure that you're staying honest within playing that fill and it's staying in time as you're playing the fill. Beat 1. This is also obviously a great way to run exercises like your major scale. I mean, that's a pretty obvious one, but maybe a lot of people don't think about running exercises where they're playing licks or scales or arpeggios with the metronome, but not making the metronome click every single beat. So this can be used in any of those other beats. You can play it with the click hitting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 every single time. One of my favorites is actually on 4. It's a great way to exercise your time and make the time work. So we're going to make this a little bit trickier and a little bit more challenging. The way that we can do that is instead of all the notes, the sound of the click happening once every 4 beats, we're going to make it every 2 measures or every 8 beats. And so because of this really handy dandy app, all you have to do is hit the time signature and switch it over to 8/4, and you automatically have 8 beats ready for you. But all you have to do is silence the other beats, and I changed the tempo just to change it up a little bit. So now it's going to be every 2 measures. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. I was dragging. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I was a little tiny behind on the click, but with it happening once every 8 beats, when I would hear it and that I was not dead on with it, I knew that I wanted to drag a little bit. And it's probably because I've been doing this lesson in 90 for a while, and my feel wants to stay at 90. So maybe it's a good idea when you introduce to something new is that you make it every beat so that you feel it better, get more used to it. 1, 2, 1, 2. Stop because I want to keep feeling it. All right, so there you go. Now I have it every 2 beats. If you want to even make it a little bit more interesting, you can even add a random thing, a random accented note later on in the second measure so that it helps set you up for the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do silent sometimes just to make sure I really feel it. Moving on to the bass, this same sort of thing. You get the idea. There's really a lot of different possibilities when it comes to practicing with a metronome. Do it regularly. Please get a metronome app and practice with it. Get used to playing with a metronome. It's really a good thing for you to be able to do something like that on your instrument. And even singers. I would strongly suggest singers do it too. All right, so that's all I have for you guys right now. I hope that this was informative. Please get a metronome app for your phone. Please practice along with that metronome and explore all these different ideas that I posed to you and see if you can come up with your own. Don't feel like you have to do it every single way, every single day. Just make sure that you're getting in there and hitting that woodshed and experimenting with it as much as you can. Thanks for coming by. See you next time.